Hi everybody, welcome to another episode of Historia Politica Pública. In the episode of today, I will talk about Hannah Arendt and one of her essays, which is called What is Authority? It was published in 1954, and it realized a historical study about how the concept of authority has developed in the last thousand of years, starting from the ancient Greece with Socrates, Plato, and Aristotle, going later with the Roman Empire, the idea of Christianity and how this concept permeated among the different communities in Europe. Also with the French Revolution and kind of the modern period until nowadays, which it was the second half of the 20th century. She had witnessed the two world wars, and basically her idea is that authority has been diminishing in the last hundred of years through the modern period, and this one is one of the political crises more exacerbated in our times. Just to give you a quick sum up of Hannah Arendt, because I have talked about her in other episodes. She wrote The Origin of Totalitarianism in 1951. The Human Condition, which I have talked in other episodes about that book. It is very interesting to read, in which she divides the kind of humans condition between action, labor, and work, how the power of action of humans make them unique. Each person have the power to save the world in different ways, because for her, basically, if you are being born in this planet, you will do something inevitably that will change your surroundings, being the people that live with you, or if you grow up and you travel or you stay in your home, anything that you do can have a great impact. So Hannah Arendt was born in 1906 in Germany. He died in 1975. So he, she lived the First World War, Second World War. She had to flee from Germany because she was a Jewish and went to France. But later, when the Nazis invaded France and the Vichy regime was imposed in the country, went to United States, where she developed the rest of her career there. Doesn't surprise that she's widely considered to be one of the most influential political figures of the 20th century. She was politically involved in the movement analyzing the 1960s, also the different things that were happening during the Cold War, such as the launch of Sputnik to space, the invasion of the Soviet Union in Hungary, the invasion of United Kingdom and France with Israel to the Suez Canal, the war in Vietnam, and the invasion of the United States. So she was deeply committed about what was happening around her, and in fact it was precisely her experiences that helped her to develop their works, as it's perfectly shown in H-Man to Jerusalem, The Origin of Totalitarianism on the Human Condition. So, in What is Authority, again, she starts being very direct about what her essay is going to go about. She points, quote, "Authority has vanished for the modern world," end quote. Again, for her, this is one of the most acute political crises of our era, and this vanishing of authority, it was one of the causes that produced the rise of political movement and the development of a new totalitarian form of government, being fascism, the Soviet communism, or any other dictatorship supported by the highest power, such as we can think about the dictatorship in Latin America and in many other areas of the world. In that sense, totalitarianism for her is the best fit to take advantage of a general and political atmosphere in which the party system has lost its prestige. This idea is also developed by Erich Fromm, which is one of the members of the Frankfurt School, in his book The Fear of Freedom, in which he concludes that it is precisely the loss of authority which creates more freedom that had made many people to be confused about what is going on in the world. They suddenly have realized that the world is a complex place to live, and without the figure of an authority which is guiding your steps, it seems really hard to understand your surroundings. In that sense, both Eric Fromm and Hannah Arendt portrays the idea of the church as a kind of figure which has dominated ourselves for many centuries. And when this church was destroyed symbolically during the French Revolution, later on with the creation of secular states and the diminishing of power of the Catholic Church, there have been many people who had not been able to know what to do at that time before it was Caesar, just following the orders of the church, listen to the dogmatic influences of the Bible, and that's it. However, when, in the words of Nietzsche, God is dead, the people realized that the world can be like a labyrinth in which the corners are embedded into shadow, and it is really difficult to set some lights and go through the darkness. In that sense, Nietzsche is very important because even though he's considered as the father of nihilism, and nihilism is sometimes defined pejoratively as the idea that nothing matters, for Nietzsche I think it was all the opposite, because it was not that nothing matters, it was that now the things that matter had to be realized by yourself. You could not read some guidelines anymore, but you had to figure out by yourself and your surroundings what was happening in the world. For that reason, when Nietzsche mentions that God is dead, he is not celebrating the death of this kind of powerful divine figure, but rather he's analyzing what was happening at his time, in which he realized that the idea of the Catholic Church was diminishing in the society. In that sense, this crisis of authority has spread to other areas, according to Hannah Arendt, and she points the examples of education and child rearing. When she speaks about education, I can only think that in those years, with the implementation of free education in many countries after the Second World War, there was a collusion of interest, and this was outbursted later on in the 1960s movement, the French May, in West Germany, in Mexico, and many other areas in the world, in which it coincided with the first time in history in which there were people studying in the university in mass that were not coming from the elites, but rather for this kind of middle classes, which before had not had access to studies, and they become middle classes, if this exists or it's just an imagination of the workers, from the Second World War. Henceforth, the entering of thousands, millions of people in universities create a kind of class within the system that was not ready for that at that time. Going back to Arendt, she points that authority stands against persuasion through arguments and coercion by force. And that has happened since Plato. For Hannah Arendt, authority is not totalitarianism or tyranny, and she divides very well the meaning of them. For her, authority cannot be demanded by violence, because then that will be a tyranny or a dictatorship or any other kind of government. But authority for her is this idea that people are following laws which are not human-made. What is she referring by that? Well, the ideas of the Bible, even though has been written by somebody, she considers laws not made by humans, same as the Ten Commandments of God, because the humans believe that those ideas has been portrayed by something above them, something divine. She even points in this category the constitutions of the United States, like those were created by humans, but still in our societies, because it happens many centuries ago, and in a particular context, we believe that they were not human-made laws. And this is what creates authority, according to Hannah Arendt. It's important to follow some rules that were created by people who are not us or not living in our time, and which through the kind of time the century is going through have acquired this kind of legitimacy of being something else, something different from the humankind. Also, authority cannot be used through persuasion, through arguments, because for her then it will not be authority. That will be something more like to appear in a kind of anarchist society in which people should be able to participate directly in the public sphere and debate the different things that are going to be implemented within a different society. So authority neither has to be imposed through violence, but neither through persuasion with arguments. In that sense, for her, the loss of beliefs in dogmas anyway is not the same as loss of the faith. But the thing is, like, authority gave humans permanence, according to Hannah Arendt, because they are mortals. However, this loss of authority doesn't entail the loss of human capacity for caring for the world. So there must be something else to be used in order to establish a society in which the people can conserve the ideas that were influenced them in the past and carry into the future. In that sense, he uses the argument between liberal and conservative, how for her the liberals want more freedom and less authority, and the conservative is the opposite. They want more authority and less freedom. For the conservative, the authority is the key, whereas for liberal, freedom is fundamental. In that sense, she criticized the liberals because they do not make a difference between authoritarian, and tyranny regimes. And she explains basically that the authoritarian, it is a kind of pyramid figure in which you have on top the leaders, but beyond the pyramid, like in the sky, you have the non-human made laws. So the thing is, like, the people on top have to follow some kind of rules that are beyond them. Let's say the president of a country, even if this person has been elected by the people, have to follow the constitution of that country. In the past, you had in kind of religious countries, or there are even many nowadays still, how they used to follow, or they still follow the teachings of the Bible or the Quran or the different kind of books, holy books that have been written in the past. And in that sense, authoritarian for Hannah Arendt is egalitarian in some sense, although there are some people in power, but still there is something beyond everybody which cannot be changed. Or at least it's very difficult to do so. For that, Hannah Arendt mentions that the American Revolution was the most successful one in that sense, because it creates a society through a non-violent people died during that time, but she considered that was non-violent in general, comparing with other revolutions. Going to tyranny for her is the most egalitarian system, because there is one person above all, and the rest are deep in misery. I disagree with the argument, because I don't believe a tyrant can rule a whole country without the complacency of thousands of people, or at least the force of order, the policeman, the army, the judgery, and so on. Totalitarianism, according to her, I think this is the most interesting of her definition. She compares totalitarian regime with an onion in which you have the different layers dominating from within. The layers play the facade that there is normality outside, but within the onion, in the inside, you can see the extremism of the different layers of society, how the they fed themselves all the time, and providing the fiction of a normal world, totalitarianism can involve the people of the society in a sphere of unknown, within a kind of curtailing of freedom, of egalitarianism, the kind of rights that we take for granted, but within a totalitarian regime have been blurred. If we go fast forward to the modern world, she points that the disappearance of practically all traditionally established authorities is a characteristic of the contemporary society. She points how liberalism and conservatism, which are quite recent trends in our times, were born in the climate of violently oscillating public opinion. She refers to the French Revolution and so on. The history of 19th century for her is the age in which certain notions have begun to lose their clarity. For that reason, without the distinction of these lines, she blames the social science as concerned with the function of different concepts rather within her inherent meaning, like authority, tyranny, or totalitarianism, how these concepts have been confused among the years, and there are many people who define everything as a kind of authoritarian in a kind of pejorative term, whereas for Hannah Arendt, the authority is something good in order to develop our societies. Precisely she asks herself, why is it believed that violence is authority? And she replies that it's because it fulfills the same function. However, where she rejects violence, she embraces authority, and she believes that is fundamental in order to kind of establish the egalitarian society. And I will finish here the episode. The next one I will for a kind of historical review of the ancient Greece, the Roman Empire, the Christian era, and until Machiavelli, which for her she could be considered as the kind of the father of a political science.